not only what we've done in South Africa, but what we've done in South Africa specifically for India. So we're very, very excited. I'm going to run you through a quick basics on South Africa, show you some of the new material, just a sneak peek of the campaign that's breaking during the T20 World Cup. We're going to have a quick 5 minutes from everybody on the panel. We're going to open for Q&A. Afterwards, they will be available for one-on-ones. And please, can I ask you, when you're finished, please go all the way downstairs and go and see, pop in at the South African, at the actual product roadshow. There's some stunning, stunning new stuff on the floor there specifically designed for India. You are going to love it. You are going to put your traveler hat on when you're done working here and just go and see all the cool stuff that we have. So, all countries always come and stand in front of you guys for a media review, and they say to you that they have the world's greatest country. Now, we firmly believe that we have the world's greatest country. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how people experience South Africa that do not come from South Africa. Comes from the South African taxpayer. We also have an incredibly special system in South Africa where the private sector voluntarily collects a levy and donate that back to South African tourism to help us with our international marketing. That money is specifically ring-fenced for certain things. And basically what that means is that South African tourism is here to make sure that we send as many Indian travelers as possible to South Africa, to do as many activities as they possibly can, to stay as long as they possibly can, and of course, to spend as much money as they possibly can in South Africa. So that is the mandate that we have. We are quite mercenary on what it is that we want to do. And we also understand that in order for us to do that, we need to design things in South Africa specifically for India. 5 years ago, we started with a campaign called Made in South Africa for India. We thought we were very smart. We learned then that we weren't so smart and that marketing in India is a really, really big job. Currently, you'll see the campaigns running is Made in Kolkata, or Made in South Africa for Kolkata, Made in South Africa for Delhi. So it's very, very specific per region now. We've learned a lot. When you go downstairs, we do 2 roadshows a year as a tourism board. The one is a training roadshow where we train the travel trade, but the travel trade train us. So the travel trade will say to us, the trends in Delhi is this, this, and this. My people want this, this, and this. That then gets fed back to the South African private sector. And they then come back with the roadshow that you're going to see downstairs saying, all those things you asked us for in July, here is it, and this is how you do it. So when we talk about research, when we talk about information and knowledge sharing, that is exactly what we're talking about. We don't come into India on a spray and pray approach. Okay, what we do for India is designed specifically for India. And there's lots of product permutations that you would see downstairs that you can only find being sold in India. Okay, it's not available to anybody else in the market. It is just for the Indian guys. And this is, from a government point of view, how we actually achieve the strategies that we have. It's very research driven. One of the things that we have decided as a board, tourism is the fastest job creator in the world. 1 in 10 people in the world is employed by tourism. And when David's going to speak to you about the private sector, he's got great numbers on how many people in South Africa we employ in the sector. One of the commitments we've made is we've said, if we get smarter with our really big research approach, we need to share that with the world, because if we all get smarter about how the business of tourism works, that tourism is not about a brochure and a palm tree. Tourism is about creating jobs, it's about contributing to GDP. Everybody will get smarter, and we would all run better operations. If you go into the South African Tourism website, www.southafrica.net/research, the research are now online, available free of charge. Not only to the media, but also to your competitors. Because if you're going to put a stake in the ground, you have to have enough heart to stand behind it. So it's to say to everybody out there, this is what we know, this is our research, let's all get better. And you'll see a lot of our stuff gets actually used in Incredible India campaigns. So that is the business of tourism for us. I want to show you quickly what South Africa looks like as a holiday destination. Very often out of India we get asked, can I take my children? Now we've got such a big family component that travel from India on holiday to South Africa. And people are wary. They go, it's a developing country, it's a third world country, can I take the kids? So what we've done is we've done like a survivor type shoot. It was a live shoot. We didn't ask these people to say specific things. It was just filmed live. And we made a little clip about what the kids think when they go to South Africa. And it's really, really special. And we say, we caretakers of this for the rest of the world. We are just very lucky that we live in that area. But it belongs to all of us. And if you look at the cradle of humankind just outside of Johannesburg, it will tell you that the first people to walk upright came from Africa. You all are thus coming from Africa. So when you come and visit us, you're not coming on holiday, you're coming home. So we try and run that past the immigration people to say, you don't really need a visa because you're actually from there, but it's not working yet, but we're working on that. So it is a nice feeling, you know, you're coming home. And when you see the interaction we have with the children, one of the things that have made South Africa so different, you know, apart from the fact that it's beautiful, it's got 60,000 registered tourism product that you can make use of, there's so much to do, it covers all budgets. You know, a lot of tourism destinations have a similar offering. It's the fact that, sorry, I didn't realize I'll try and speak louder. It's the fact that when you are in South Africa, you have to physically partake in the activity. You know, we always say to people, Africa doesn't happen to you. You don't happen to Africa. Africa happens to you. And that is very, very true. When you see these kids, they are allowed to do just about any adventure activity in South Africa as long as there's no technical specification. For example, they can't bungee jump if they weigh less than 40 kilos. Okay? But we have 7-year-olds that shark cage dive in South Africa just because they're comfortable in the water. We work very much on a comfort level. And we love to say to people, when you look at the world, you always have to think, we don't need to leave a better world for our children. We need to leave better children for our world. And if we don't expose these kids to these wonders that we're lucky enough to look after, what are they going to do to the world when they run it one day? When they make commercial decisions? If we don't get to them now, we have no hope of saving the world. If we get to them now, by the time they are Mukesh Ambani, they're never going to make a commercial decision without considering the earth. And that's where we want to go. And we keep going back to the same point that we start every conversation with. The place belongs to all of us. And we're just caretaking it for the rest of the world. So it's a really special offer, and we're really proud to present it. I'm going to run past a couple of basic country facts for you guys quickly, just to give you a bit of context before I hand you over. 54 million people. Big country, not a lot of people. 11 official languages. I always laugh when I have to say this in India. You say this anywhere else in the world, and people go pale. You say 11 official languages in India, and people go, oh, only 11. It's a lovely thing to be able to say here. Everybody speaks English though, okay? When we go to school, you will take English as a subject plus your mother tongue. So it doesn't matter if you go to Johannesburg or if you go to a little town that's only got 4 people living there, they will speak English. You can communicate with anybody there. Wide variety of biospheres that you would get there, but look at the temperature. 18 average for the winter, 28 for the summer. It's absolutely beautiful. So when you see everything happening outside in South Africa, you need to understand this is not Delhi summer at 45. This is 28. Okay, so it's really pleasant to be outside. And in a time difference, we are 3.5 hours behind India. For our travelers, the absolute best thing we have with the exchange rate, we've lost 40% of the value against the INR. So what's happening now is that the holiday in South Africa this year is cheaper than the holiday last year, simply because of exchange rate savings. What we have seen with our Indian travelers that has been brilliant, instead of pocketing the saving, our length of stay in South Africa has increased. So they go, oh, I thought I could buy 11 nights, I can actually buy 14. So the average length of stay out of Delhi on a holiday now is 13.9 nights. Okay? And people are literally taking that exchange rate saving and putting it in the bank. VAT at 14%, it is the only tax that we levy in South Africa. Not 209 taxes, that is the tax, 14%. From a rail network, we are incredibly professional. We've got very, very good infrastructure. What I want to point out on that slide, car rental in South Africa, it has picked up quite dramatically self-drive out of India. Guys, the funniest thing that you can ever ask a South African, if you come from India, is, do you think I'd be able to drive in your country? The first time I drove in India, I phoned 50 people in South Africa and said, I just drove from Bombay. And they were all, no, you didn't. If you can drive in India, you can drive anywhere. There's less cars in the road in the whole of South Africa than what we have in Bombay. Okay, so you're going to love the South Road. Big roads, not a lot of cars. Okay, we complain in peak hour traffic. I said to Alba, the traffic is so slow and I'm doing 65 kilometers an hour. And she's like, what are you talking about? Okay, so it's easy to self-drive, but it's the license as well. We accept the Indian driver's license for no more than 90 days consecutively. So it's easy as well for you guys to come in. You simply show your Indian driver's license and you can do your car hire from there. Great connectivity. We don't have direct airlift. It is a constant fight that we have with the airlines. They say, show us the passengers, we'll give you the direct flight. We say, give us the direct flight and we'll give you the passengers. So currently, great connectivity over the Middle East with both Emirates and Etihad. Qatar is coming up with a new connection out of Delhi, which is really, really good for us as well. The African Airlines, Kenya, Air Tanzania, Ethiopian Airline, also very, very good connectivity. And then Seychelles coming out of Bombay as well as Air Mauritius are giving us good connectivity in South Africa. So it takes an average about 14 hours to get to South Africa. That's travel time, not flight time, because you have the one stopover. We will continue to fight for the direct flight into South Africa. Big economy, that is the 2014 figure, $350.1 billion US. If you look at all the gold ever sold in the world, more than 50% of that will come from South Africa. We absolutely love the brides before the weddings. We love them like you cannot understand. The fathers-in-laws hate us, okay? But it's really, we've got a lot of business coming out from our wedding clients coming to South Africa before the weddings to buy their gold. Great price, and we've made in an import and export of it really, really simple for the guys. Only other thing on that slide I want to put out to you guys, Margie will talk about our BRICS relationship, is the second biggest exporter in the world of fresh fruit and vegetables. Vegetarian food in South Africa is mainstream. You can go into a steakhouse and there will be vegetarian food on the menu. A couple of years ago, when our businesses, specifically out of Gujarat, picked up, we got a lot of requests for Jain vegetarian food. So we ran a whole retraining with the South African Chefs Association to retrain South African chefs to be able to do proper vegan, Indian vegetarian and Jain vegetarian food. And the whole thing ran away with us. And what you have in your media kits is a cookbook that was made by South African chefs on Jain vegetarian recipes. They were saying, now that we understand what it is that you want, let's show you the South African version of it. So it's a whole commitment from South Africa to say, it is specifically for India, but it's made by us. So it's really designed for you guys, and I cannot say enough, please go downstairs and go and see what is there. Obviously from a tourism offering, very big on safari, very big on adventure, very big on scenic beauty. The wine route for us is picking up, and then just from a hygiene point of view, the infrastructure is very, very good. Health and safety, very, very good. I mean, we've got the third safest tap water in the world. And South Africans are quite environmentally conscious. You will see if you go into a restaurant in South Africa and ask for water, the waiter would say to you, would you want still, sparkling or tap? Because in South Africa there is a big drive to stay away from bottled water. The water is perfectly safe to drink. Just a recap, great value for money, great entertainment. You see a lot of Bollywood movies. I mean, for those of you that have seen Cocktail, what a beautiful item number in Cocktail shot in South Africa. Great infrastructure. Great hospitality between the two nations, and it is about more than just them. David's going to talk to us about the new things that we see in the visa regulation. Currently, a South African visa takes 5 days. Okay, so we are fighting to get it down, and David and Margie will talk about biometrics and what we've done there to make it as easy as possible for our travellers to come in. But from an infrastructure, from an operational, from a logistical point, it is absolutely perfect for us at the moment. Now, I work for the tourism board. So very often I get told, you get paid to say nice things about South Africa. We cornered a couple of the Protea cricket players. And we said to them, well, what do you think of South Africa? And this is specifically made for the Indian.
I love South Africa.
Bowler in the world, and Dale Steyn and little Themba Bavuma telling you, try the South Africa. You have to come. So if the Proteas say you have to come, you just have to come. You're going to see the rest of the campaign breaking over the T20 World Cup. We're very, very excited about that. And I'm going to hand you over now to our esteemed panel. But I hope that in the back of your minds, the part that is not here for the work, that there's a little bit of a seed saying, on the bucket list now for South African. Mark.
Because I'm a Calcutta Knight Riders fan. I'm saying that to my son is a Delhi Daredevils fan, so I can say it, yes. I'm not going to get hung for that. But it really is a complete privilege to be in Incredible India, and as a marketer, just to see how incredible India lives up to its positioning, it is incredible. So I look forward to spending the next few days here. I am relatively new to South African tourism. I am new to tourism, but I am a marketer, and I have been a marketer for a number of years. So what I see in terms of our relationships as two brands and as two countries is just extraordinary opportunity. There is so much opportunity to grow what we have established between the two countries. We are proud members of BRICS, and we have a long cultural and historical association between our two countries. So in 2014, to have had 86,000 visitors tells me that all we have is a lot of opportunity to grow that extraordinary. Hanley talked a bit about some of the barriers, about the airlift, about the visas, which David will continue to do. But the way in which we can grow this business of tourism, which is at the forefront of industries right around the world these days, and in South Africa particularly, it is the one area of growth and development that we see, is by having collaboration between government and industry. The only way we can do it is together, and working together as countries as well in terms of how we can see this benefit opening out to all of us. So as I said, 86,000 in 2014, in 2015 up until September when we have the figures, we had 59,000 visitors. The hard work done by the team to make sure that we localize the offering and make sure that it's appropriate to this market. And as Hanley said, not just made in South Africa for India, but made in South Africa for Delhi, made in South Africa for Calcutta. Understanding the nuances of the market is what makes it real and tangible and a very significant offering. So we're looking forward to seeing a huge amount of growth and seeing how we can grow and develop and share in this relationship moving forward. So thank you all very much for being here. I look forward to being able to interact with you. And as Hanley said, the most important part of this is what's happening downstairs on the ground and seeing how the teams are all working together and talking together and creating this product that it will work together. So I do hope you follow up on her offer to go down and see what's going down on the ground. I'll hand over to Monica Hill, who is our GM of International.
Markets, so I look after India amongst others. It's also my first time in India, together with Margie. And it's been so fantastic to see such great support for our beautiful country, both from the trade as well as from the media in Calcutta, and today in such great numbers here in Delhi. So thank you very much for your support. India is an incredibly important market for South Africa. As Hanley was alluding to, it's all about the people arriving in South Africa spending as much and contributing as much as they can to the GDP. Tourism is one of the only growing sectors of our South African economy at the moment and contributes about 9% to our GDP. So it's an immensely important sector for us. And India has slowly but surely clawed its way up our rankings in terms of the air markets and is now our 6th most important air market in terms of arrival numbers. So we are deeply invested in this market, and we are together with the private sector working on removing the barriers that exist to making sure that as many Indians as possible come to our beautiful country. Having spent only 48 hours in India up until now, I do have to say I'm seeing a lot of links and a lot of fraternity between the culture and the personalities and the hospitality of the Indian people and the experiences that we have with our tourism product in South Africa. So I have absolutely no doubt that people that come to South Africa and experience it once will want to come again and again to enjoy the hospitality and the scenic beauty that we have to offer in South Africa. I think Margie very eloquently spoke about how hard the team here in India works. I've been very impressed by Hanley and the team and how they tirelessly sing our song to everybody in the media and to the trade. And you can hear from the satisfied comments from the South African product that I have 50 in total this year. So again, to echo what Margie said, please go down and experience for yourself. The South African product that are here love this market. They really enjoy this marketplace. And so I think we're on to a good start for 2016. I think it's going to go from strength to strength. I'm going to hand over to David Frost, from the CEO from SATSA.
In particular, one of my things, we as my colleagues have, maybe sort of not sort of focused on in particular, we're great friends of India. In fact, we love you guys so much, we lay down like lambs to the English, so you could be number one in the world. Bit embarrassing, but congratulations on finally getting to number one test status for India. Let me just start off by just talking about my organisation. I'm the CEO of something called the Southern Africa Tourism Services Association, SATSA. It's the Inbound Private Sector Tourism Association, so we have over 1,000 members, and it spans a number of parts of the channel. We have over 400 inbound tour operators. We represent all the hotel groups, large and small, guest houses, all the game lodges, the adventure tourism operators, the zip liners, the great shop diving people, for example, all the car rental companies, and the airlines, domestic and international. Just on that, the inbound tour operators play quite an important part in South Africa, because South Africa, unlike when you go, for example, to the Seychelles or the Maldives, if you're booking a holiday there, it's quite easy. You can go on Expedia and it's a flight and a hotel. And even if you're going there, the Indian tour operators or agents, it's a very simple process. You contract one hotel and you pay that hotel. But South Africa, as Handy pointed out, has an average length of stay out of Delhi of 13 days. So you're traveling around to individual guest houses, there might be different hotels, there might be a lot of adventure tourism product that you're buying. So in that respect, in terms of putting itineraries together and buying it, there's a strong presence of the inbound tour operator that does that and acts as a one-stop shop for the Indian agents or tour operators. But it's very important. One of the things SATSA does, we've been in existence for over 40 years, we're the stamp of credibility in the industry. Before you can join SATSA, you have to go through a very stringent process of complying with insurance and financial stability checks. And these are done on once you're in, they're done on an annual basis. So it doesn't mean we have an absolute finger on the pulse of all of our members every single day of the year. But in terms of the annual checks that people go through and the process that people have to do to apply for SATSA, it certainly gives you that mark of credibility. We also have a bonding scheme, so if any of our members do get into financial difficulty and go into liquidation, there is an insurance policy that would cover the Indian traveller in terms of not being exposed to that. So that's very important. And what it also does is it gives the smaller operators in India the sort of comfort and security of dealing with smaller operators in South Africa who are SATSA members, and knowing that they're actually worth dealing with. They're not fly-by-nighters at all. So that sort of opens up new business channels. So I've been given the unenviable task of talking about the visa issue. It has been an ongoing problem in India for a while. There's two things. Firstly, our capacity to actually process visas timelessly. But Handy runs, and I would just say a huge word of tribute to Handy and her team in India. I think they're one of the best foreign tourist officers around the world. I think they've done an incredible job of positioning South Africa and also dealing with some of these difficult issues like the sort of visa thing. So we're confident that those capacity constraints are going to be alleviated in the near future. We've had an interesting process over the last 18 months where our Department of Home Affairs sought to tighten up security in South Africa. And one of the proposals was that in India, that every prospective tourist would have to appear in person to capture biometrics. And with only 2 visa centres at the moment in Delhi and Bombay, that would obviously be a huge disincentive for people to undertake a domestic trip in order to actually go and apply for a visa. What we've been able to do through interactions and lobbying on our side is to get that taken away, so that what we are looking at doing is 2 things: that we would accredit, South Africa would accredit Indian tour operators to perform the sort of visa collection process on behalf of the traveller. So that means the travellers don't have to actually go and sort of and appear in person at the consulate, and that we, instead of capturing that biometric data here in India, that would be captured on arrival. So for those of you who've gone through places like Abu Dhabi, you just go in and simple passport, and when you're there, you look in the camera and put your fingerprint, which is a lot more. It makes a lot more sense. So that's where we've sort of ended up. But I mean, ultimately, what we really need to do is to take a leaf out of your book, out of India's book. I mean, you guys have been And when you talk about visa, the whole visa thing, it's really this balance between making a country secure and safety and security issues, and then tourism growth on the other hand. And I mean, you guys have been at the sharp end of some quite sort of hairy incidents, but yet India has sought to actually open itself up as a tourism destination, and I mean, has I think an exemplary sort of visa regime, and ultimately that's what we should be sort of looking at doing. Just on the sort of macro issues, I mean, little known fact, people don't often think of it this way, but tourism is the most competitive economic sector on the planet. I mean, if you compete, say, in the banana game of exporting bananas, only certain countries can grow bananas, or only certain countries make fridges. But you can walk into a travel agency today and buy a holiday to every single country on the world, and actually more, because Antarctica is not actually a country, but you can go to Antarctica as well. So it's an incredibly competitive sort of economic sector, and that just means that we, people operating in that you've got to be competitive. And that really involves synergizing public and private sector. So we're very fortunate to have a great team at South African Tourism. We work very closely with them in terms of strategies, in terms of looking how best to do things. And we're confident from that perspective that South Africa does offer great value as a destination, and we certainly encourage you, you guys in the press to actually help us spread the message so we can get people there. In terms of South Africa, we obviously do have certain legacies in our politics and everything going back with, apartheid, etc., although we're 20 years on. And tourism has played a great role in helping sort of redress that from an economic point of view. So in terms of the job creation factor, it's quintessential in South Africa. Tourism, it directly and indirectly accounts for 1.5 million jobs in South Africa. In rural areas, between 8 and 10 people eat every night. Or sorry, not eat every night, but one person in a job will be supporting 8 or 10 people in rural areas. And in urban areas, it's about four to five. So conservatively, when you average it out, it's about 5.5 people are supported by a job in tourism. And when you extrapolate that out to the whole country, it's basically 1 in 7 people puts food on their table every night because of the tourism industry. So it's a great economic contributor. But thanks very much for your support and your ongoing support, and we're confident that together we can take it forward, and look forward to doubling the numbers over the next 5 years, which I think is eminently possible. Thank you so much.